Hi, Gabby. Thank you so much for joining us. For our audience who's tuning in right now, Gabby is a senior financial controller over at Fithouse. And Gabby, I'm going to go ahead and let you explain what Fithouse is for our audience who may not know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Fit is a boutique fitness studio in New York City. We have 2 locations throughout New York, and what makes us special is that we're a multi-modal. One of our studios has actually 3 fitness studios in one, and so we can be operating all different types of classes at the same time. And we have about 6 modalities, ranging from sculpt, dance, bar, HIIT. So really something for everyone, and yoga as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Obviously, though, in this time, a lot of businesses have had to close, including your own. What has been the biggest impact of the state of the world right now on Fithouse?
Totally. So, I mean, as you can imagine, we have a lot of instructors since we're operating upwards of, 35 to 40 classes a day. We have a lot of instructors. We have a lot of front desk people. So we had to close about 2 weeks ago, thinking we could open back up April 1st, but of course, probably going to be another month. So with that, a lot of instructors are out of work. A lot of our front desk and cleaning staff are out of work. And we've also had to learn how to make a pivot very quickly to the online space in order to give all of our members a chance to work out with us, and also in order to stay relevant in the fitness space. As you know, there's a lot of people in it. It's very crowded, and we have a lot of followers and members. So just keeping them on board and ready to jump back in with us.
So how did you do that? I mean, when you're doing all in person, you have memberships and everything else. I mean, how do you even pivot to, fully online?
Yeah. So the industry has been really great, and we're really lucky that basically there's a lot of tools that are used industry wide. It's called, say, like a mind body platform where people sign up for classes. There's a platform called FitGrid where instructors can talk to their clients. So a lot of those have integrated with an online platform, so we can easily start connecting our schedule to online and do live classes through Zoom. So it definitely was a quick pivot, and we've always had, streaming classes on our mind, but not in this capacity and not this quickly. So, what's cool about this is it's all live, so it's happening real time. It's not curated, and we're realizing that our members and people that are coming through to us through social media actually love the live personal aspect of it. So the industry definitely provided some tools, which is great. So we were able to pivot quickly.
I mean, yeah, that's awesome, obviously, to be able to do something so fast. What major challenges came with this shift, though?
For sure. So first it was, none of us are in person. So we're all working together remotely, trying to figure out how to connect this platform and then communicate it to our customers. And not being in person obviously is a huge factor that, and it was a huge challenge as well. People getting thousands of emails a day about what companies are doing to handle the crisis. So the challenge is getting to those customers and hoping that they see what we're doing and communicating with them effectively. So that was a huge challenge, as well as just communicating with our team, because we have a full roster of 40 to 50 instructors who might be interested in online streaming, but have so many questions and what are we doing, and having to get it ready within a week and also get everybody on board remotely was definitely a challenge.
And then how, with this new shift in, the way that you're handling business, the way that you're doing these workouts, how are you measuring KPIs? Like, are you measuring KPIs? Are there certain success points that you're trying to reach? I mean, how does that change with all of this?
Yeah. So one really great thing about our business was that we had members. And so part of our big success is that we're trying to measure is how many of our members are staying with us, because we're offering them a few things offline that just like a regular streaming platform won't be offering, our non-members. So our members. So trying to, keep them was really great. And so we're using as a KPI, as well as how many people are joining our classes, how many people are staying in classes, our sales. And then obviously we haven't been operating long enough, but as soon as the month closes, we'll be able to see like sales over our costs, see how we're handling, to see how that's working. So all of those KPIs coming into play, and there's going to continue to be a lot more, but those are like the overarching ones that we're just focusing on first.
Yeah. In terms of, coming to month end and seeing how you guys are doing, how are you managing cash flow? I want to start with, was there any cuts that you made that you can share with us that you found helpful?
Yeah, so it's a great question. One thing about our business was that we managed a very lean cash flow business from the start. So obviously to build a studio is a huge cash flow outtake, but then one of our major expenses was to pay our staff. So not being able to operate classes in studio automatically cuts that expense, but obviously at the point of our employees not having work. So like many other businesses, we had to perform temporary layoffs, mostly to the benefit of the employees so that they can file for unemployment, knowing that when we're back up and running, they'll be back. In terms of, marketing initiatives, all of it's grassroots organic. So we're not spending a lot on ads or anything like that. And then in terms of everything we've shifted to, we're getting a little bit of cash flow through online streaming. So really the biggest part of managing cash flow right now is, keeping our small team of salaried employees. Hopefully with some of the new bills that are passing, we'll see a little bit more of how to react to those and what might be the next steps. And it's a little bit weird because everything's day by day here. So definitely we're staying lean, but the first thing that had to happen was we're not having classes, so nobody's getting paid, which is automatically was a big expense for us.
Yeah, I want to hint, there's a couple different parts that you just kind of touched on that I want to talk about. I think first and foremost, you mentioned the bills that are, currently in the process of hopefully being passed. What are your thoughts on the $2 trillion package Congress is passing or is talking about passing and hopefully will pass? Is it too much? Is it, enough? Will your company benefit from it?
Yeah, every little bit helps. So I don't know the specifics yet. I know there's probably going to be a lot of intricacies, but it certainly can't hurt. In terms of, we're still waiting on some of the specifics for that. So once we get it, we'll know a little bit more. But in terms of what's out there right now, New York City has a specific small business loan that will definitely help a lot of businesses. So that's one we've been looking into. And there's also through the SBA, there's the Economic Disaster Recovery Loan. So that's one we'll be looking into as well. Now, it's definitely going to take some time on after we apply to hear back. So, it's kind of a hard question because we don't know if we'll benefit from it. But at this point, us and a lot of other small businesses are just doing anything we can to get some extra cash through the door to ensure that operations can continue.
So you're just at the point of kind of looking into aid, like government aid and loans right now? You're just kind of at the beginning of that?
Yeah, so we've applied for the ones that are available as of now. So that New York City one and the Economic Disaster Recovery one through SBA. What's interesting is some of the loans say that you have to show 2 months of losses, and this has been only going on for 1 month. So it's a little bit confusing there as to like, okay, apply now, but then how are we going to show 2 months of losses? So it's a little bit iffy, and they're busy. They're getting a lot of stuff, a lot of questions. So definitely hard to get through and get those questions answered. But we're being proactive and applying first, and hoping we can get answers later.
Yeah. Do you have any insight or advice tips for other small businesses that are looking for some government aid or loans?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that has been helpful for me is, staying in touch with a lot of people in the industry. They all have the same issues. They're all going through the same things. So to be able to ask other people about the loans and ask how they're applying and when they're applying, even people who work in the restaurant industry, they're kind of dealing with the same thing. So just to use them as a resource has really been helpful.
Great. That's really, really great knowledge. And now going back to, as you said, you've had to lay some, employees off so that they can get, a file for unemployment. How did you go? Yeah, unfortunately, as so many businesses are doing right now, how did you go about that type of communication with your employees? Do you have any insight or advice that you give to other employers who might have to do the same?
The important thing for us was coming from a place of empathy and knowing that we're still here for them. So we're still in touch with them almost every day about some of the stuff we're doing online. But really them knowing that this is just temporary and it's for their benefit was obviously, they were almost relieved to hear from us, because it took a little time for us to make the decision, because we knew they were out of work, but it was a question of, can they still file for unemployment if they're out of work and just stay on our rosters? And we made the decision that it was more peace of mind for them to know they were unemployed and can file for unemployment, which is a little weird to say, but it was definitely true. And then just being here for them for the process. So, I'm not an expert on unemployment, but being able to, I've gone on Zoom with some of them and helped them fill out their applications. So almost as if they're still here, and just coming from a place of empathy, and that we're going to be in touch, and just showing how we're going to be in touch, and everything we do going forward until they're rehired is optional for them, but they'd rather have those touch points with a company they've been working with for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, that's really the idea of empathy and coming from a place of empathy.
Yeah.
That's we could all use that right now on all fronts. Have you been able to work with, you have this studio, have you been able to work with landlords in terms of helping out with rent and costs that way at all?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Obviously, rent is one of our biggest costs besides payroll. So right now, right now there's a bill that hasn't been completely passed, but it's looking like hopefully positive, that would be 90 days of free rent if you're not making an income. So that would definitely benefit us. We've spoken to some of our landlords, and they're in the same position. They can't sell a place, and they understand that a lot of places can't afford rent right now. So at this point, it's kind of waiting for some higher up to say you don't have to officially pay rent. So for now, we're holding off, and they're understandable, and hopefully we won't have to pay rent, and that will be a huge help for our cash flow as well.
Yeah, definitely. Any changes you've made to cope with this situation that you will think about, maintaining after all of this is over? Or honestly, have you thought more about a business continuity plan or a crisis preparedness plan that maybe you realized you didn't have in place before all of this?
Yeah, so we're a very small team, so having a business continuity plan or like a crisis management plan wouldn't have been something like we've ever thought about. And it's probably, you know, we had to be reactionary for a little while, and now we've been able to be on the proactive end. And it's probably something that, you know, we'll know how to deal with every little different. So being a small team, we're able to react quickly. But one thing in terms of a positive that I see for a lot of businesses is that it's a reset. So once we're, you know, in the clear of like, okay, maybe it's going to be a few weeks before we open, being able to reevaluate strategies is going to be huge. How do we schedule classes? How do we employ instructors? How do we treat employees as 1099s or employees? Like, all of that type of stuff, it'll give us a chance to reevaluate and see what's better for the business, what's better for our employees. You know, maybe even shift some job roles around, you know, ways to save money and ways to be more efficient as a business. And the good thing that's coming out of this is that, you know, we'll have another platform, and we never thought we would have it so quickly, the online stuff, and we're going to continue to build that out. So it's just another stream of revenue. So hopefully that's the one positive of all of this.
Yeah. So you guys are obviously, you have your kind of streaming platform now. Are you seeing a good amount of your members partaking in that? And if so, what are the trends you're seeing? Like, I'm just curious. I know for me, like, Pilates at home is a lot easier than like some of the other workouts. But what are you seeing, and how have you seen the streaming perform?
Yeah, so streaming has actually been great for us. We launched a week ago, and we've seen, you know, about half of our original members stayed on as full members for now. And then we've seen upwards of a few hundred purchases of subscriptions, as well as we have drop-in classes for people who just want to give it a try, because it's obviously there's so much out there that people want to give us a try first. And one of our biggest advantages was that we're a multimodality studio. So being able to offer streaming with all different options was like a no-brainer. In terms of popular things that we're seeing, sculpt is definitely a popular class because, you know, it requires little space, few pieces of equipment, but if you have them, like, that's great. We offer options for all of those. So sculpt has been huge. But even our dance cardio, people just want to have fun. So adding a little cardio in there, so people can hop into a dance class, and they're really liking those on the weekends as well.
That's awesome. I'm going to do that. I want to do a hip hop dance or like a little dance cardio. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
I've been
we'll have to get you a class.
Yeah. You know, I've been trying it on, I've been trying to learn dances on TikTok. That's my cardio lately.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the TikTok yet. I'm scared. I'm like, Instagram is enough for me. But,
yeah,
you know, might have to move into that.
So to kind of round things out here, I first want to ask, how has your role changed in the day-to-day with all of this? As a, you know, senior financial controller, what are you doing differently now that you weren't doing a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it's that's funny. So as a senior financial controller, you would think that most of my work is in finance and accounting and, you know, building financial models and recording the books, and which I'm still doing. But a lot of my role has shifted to, well, a few things. First, HR, you know, employee management, you know, talking to them about unemployment and all of that. The second thing, which kind of goes into finance, is applying for all these business loans, which is like a job in itself of learning what documents you need, how do you do this. But the biggest shift has really been in working with strategies. So strategies to retain people, strategies to attract new people, strategies to pivot our business, and also just as a team leader, being there for my team. So, you know, we have 2 people on studio operations and 1 who's the head of talent. So being the overarching person of like point of contact has been a big thing. And our CEO has done a great job of being able to lay the foundation for us of like some of how to think differently, but then, you know, us talking through everything and developing new strategies has been the biggest piece for sure.
Yeah, really good insight there. I think we're seeing that across the board where some of these, you know, people on the financial and accounting side are actually turning it more into, you know, the HR side and the really business operations side.
Yeah,
So
it's a good way to put it.
yeah. How are you seeing, like, what's your thoughts on the state of the fitness industry in general right now with all of this? And how do you think that's going to change? How do you think this whole experience is going to change that for the future?
Yeah, so to tell you the truth, I was always more of an in-person fitness type person. I always thought, and I know that brick and mortar businesses are going to survive, and that online streaming might have been a trend, but like everybody was hopping into it, and now it's essential. And I think that most companies are going to have online streaming for sure. But I also think there's going to be a shift back to brick and mortar because people want connection. They want to get out. It's going to be a slow shift because people are going to might be scared to hop into a studio at first. But the other thing is that the fitness industry was and is very crowded. And I think that we might start to see some consolidation of that just because naturally, depending on how long this lasts, cash flow is a huge issue for all of us. And so depending on what companies can survive, it's all a big question mark, but I think that we might see some consolidation of that, at least in the brick and mortar space. And in the online space, you'll see more instructors going out on their own and building their own platforms if they have that opportunity available.
Really solid information. Well, thank you so much. Any last advice that you'd want to, you know, kind of impart on our audience here? Any other things that you've been thinking of that you want to say?
No, I think, you know, I think just staying positive and just being in communication with teams is really vital. And knowing that hopefully this is going to pass in a few months and there's more opportunity on the other end of that. That's how I'm choosing to see this, and how I think our business will survive because we're going to pivot and we're going to make it better.
I love that. Gaby, thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, we look forward to everything Fithouse has to offer. And I can't wait to take my dance class.
Yeah, thank you all so much.